Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, I've never been one to shy away from a topic that's too extreme to talk about. So I figure let's take a stroll down conspiracy theory lane and get our tinfoil hats out and everything. The internet this morning, especially if you get on Twitter or X or whatever it's supposed to be called now, who knows, it is a buzz over something that's happened in the last, I guess yesterday evening or something. Apparently, the Mexican government, kind of all of a sudden, I'm from what I'm gathering, there wasn't really a lot of warning to this. They just did it online, on TV, on a YouTube channel, in front of their Congress. They unveiled that they have some aliens. They have actual alien bodies, they claim, and they showed x-rays and MRIs and all kinds of stuff of alien bodies that they have found, uncovered, captured, studied, and they decided to go public with it. That's kind of interesting, you know. Now, before you all start going, oh my goodness, we're talking about aliens, just hear me out, okay? Goodness. Quit being a keyboard warrior. It's too early for that. You know, at one point in time, our own government didn't even deny any kind of extraterrestrial life. They just ignored it. Like there wasn't really anything official. And anytime anything was asked about it, it was always someone, I don't know. And then that was it. The last year or so, there's been official congressional hearings and whistleblowers, and the government themselves are releasing video. It's not like it's just video that pops up online or, you know, wherever, and people are trying to figure out, is this real? Who faked this? Is this photoshopped? And this is footage that the government themselves has released. And of course, we know we can always trust the government. Anyways, I believe it's tomorrow that NASA is scheduled to do some kind of press conference or something and release a report on their findings of UFOs. So it appears that governments are now wanting to go public with UFOs. Now, I don't know what you believe. Of course, there's way too many of you to know that. I guess I'll go ahead and tell you what I believe. I'm pretty sure I've told this before. Number one, I believe, because there's just things we don't know. There's just things we just don't know. We have to understand that. I believe it's within the realm of possibility that God the Creator created some alien species on another planet. That's possible. I believe it's unlikely, but it's possible. I also believe it's unlikely that aliens from planets that are, you know, thousands and millions of light years away have traveled to this planet. The distance, the time, the reasons doesn't make much sense. But I believe that, you know, I acknowledge that there's a possibility of that. It's not what I believe, but I at least acknowledge it. I think that we're dealing with, you know, fallen angels, things like that. I don't need to go into great detail of that. I think most of you kind of believe that. Also believe that we're seeing a narrative being set up. And this is where I'm trying to get to, of why it's some kind of a topic we would even talk about, prepper and stuff's going on in the world, everything. I believe that regardless of what they are, governments are going to use this as and build a narrative to kind of change things. I mean, wouldn't it work out perfect for the Great Reset Agenda 2030 narrative? Think about it. Let's put our opinions aside for a second. And if these alien species with vast superior technology just happen to say, okay, we're here now, and they shared all this technology with us. And we used that technology to, catapult us into the Great Reset and Agenda 2030, and all the worlds come together, all the countries come together, because we realize that we're not alone, and why are we fighting amongst ourselves? All these things. I mean, we've seen all this stuff played out in movies before. I've seen videos, unsubstantiated videos of, of people that are in the military and work in the government, and they claim that this is, what I'm telling you, is somewhat the narrative of what they're planning. The point that I'm getting at is I think we're getting closer to the point that alien disclosure happens. And with all the push for AI and all this technology, and then how bad we're treating the planet and how it's getting too warm and all this kind of stuff, I believe that it would fit perfectly in their narrative for them to say, okay, yeah, aliens are true and they're here and we need to listen to them and they need to rule over us, kind of thing. Going back to biblical stuff, in the Bible, in the last part of it, it talks about how the world comes together under one leadership, one religion. It indicates one currency, all this kind of stuff. This is not typically a debated topic, but that's what the Bible talks about. Have you ever actually thought about how that happens? Because of all the things that's happened in this world in the last century, in the last 5 decades, the last couple of decades, there's been nothing that has brought the world together in unity. The United Nations has been trying to do it for like 100 years almost, and they've been unsuccessful. So whatever it is that brings the whole world together in some kind of unity, it's got to be a pretty big deal. And Hollywood has shown us in movies that aliens, that's the ticket. Aliens is what brings us together, and we push aside our differences and we fight together. So maybe it is aliens. Maybe Project Blue Beam, yeah, go look that one up. And then just the real thing could show up and change everything. Now, like I always try to do, how do you put that into a prepper's perspective? Well, I mean, it just depends on which movie you watch as to how you're supposed to prepare for aliens. Some 338 Lapuas, those always do a good job, don't they? It's always some big, ridiculous round that's needed to take out aliens. I'm being silly, but I think it's more preparations of realizing that their agenda is getting closer and closer to completion. And if they're to the point that aliens are being acknowledged, that bodies are being shown, that our government and other governments are releasing videos and acknowledging that there are things flying around in our skies that we don't know about and that are beyond earthly human technology, then we have to realize that something's up, because it's a drastic change from what has always been over the last century of just, like I said, not even deny, just really completely ignore and try to make anyone that talks about it either look crazy or make them disappear. So I think it's actually a pretty big deal. I'm not saying it's the biggest deal going on, but I think it's a pretty big deal that we're at that point in the timeline that governments are acknowledging that there's something else out there. And I suspect it's eventually going to be used against us, because they're always good at that. They're always so good at at taking a problem and making it worse, and then somehow figuring out how to use it as a weapon against us. So I just had to jump on, talk about it. Maybe no one else will. I don't know. And I'm not saying that this is the be all end all thing, but it could be. I mean, crying out loud. Do you realize? Just forget about it, whether they're real. Forget about whether they're Nephilim and fallen angels, or if they're really from another planet, or if they're from down deep in the ocean, or they're from Antarctica, or they're in tunnels, or forget all of that. Do you realize the reaction of the population? Just think about that. Think about what kind of reaction would happen if the government unveiled and confirmed, like absolutely said, yes, they are real, we have them, we've been negotiating with them, we've been talking to them, or if there was some very realistic looking and officially recognized, alien invasion or alien ships flying over. Do you realize the craziness that could ensue after that? It would fit really well within their plan. Not saying that that's exactly what's going to happen, but it would fit perfectly in their plan. And it may be what's going to kind of transpire. I mean, there's other things. I said yesterday that the White House has given Ukraine authorization to take weapons that we gave them and use them directly on Russia inside Russian territory. And apparently yesterday, Ukraine shot a bunch of missiles, some that we sent them, into Crimea. Several people were injured and killed there. And then Biden is considering sending some even longer range missiles over there. So that kind of stuff is just building and building. It appears that China is building a fleet off of the coast of Taiwan. They're not just, sailing around and then leaving. There's more and more coming every day that's just kind of building. So is that a precursor to some type of invasion? I mean, it looks similar to what we saw with Russia, where they were amassing their troops on the border with Ukraine and then kept saying, well, we're just training. We're just going through some drills. A good way for the World War III to be avoided. Because it's always a weird thing when you talk about and really dig into, the New World Order. Biden's talking about it, New World Order. Well, if America is the top dog in the current world order, and America and the West is pushing for a New World Order, then who's going to be the top dog? Well, everyone kind of thinks it's probably China. So in some crazy, twisted way, and I know it's not too crazy for you folks, looks like Biden is working for the Chinese. And could they be building this potential World War III, and then poof, aliens show up to stop this nuclear holocaust and save humanity, and then the Chinese are in charge? I don't know. I mean, this sounds like some crazy Hollywood movie that I probably wouldn't even watch. But the things that are happening, I mean, they're crazier than the Hollywood movies anymore. So we cannot, I don't think we can just completely discount this stuff as stupid, as, not important, especially when, governments are unveiling them. I mean, they're showing, like I said, there's x-rays or MRIs. I don't know exactly what they are. They look like MRIs to me. They're showing these little bodies and caskets that they have. I mean, if it's all fake, do you really think that the governments are going to do things that are going to be easily faked? It's like, oh, that's some crackpot trying to get attention. No, it's the official government. It's unlikely that it's just being done as a minor distraction. I think there's something else being planned, and that's why this is being done. Bottom line, it's just more and more indicators that the world we live in is spiraling out of control, and we need to be getting ready for it. We need to be stocking up, praying up, training up, and building up our strength as tribe and community. You need to be doing these things on a regular basis, making it a primary focus in your life. You need to be getting your houses in order and preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, because the times, they are a-changing. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.